Hello and welcome back to Codes of Connection. I'm here with Lisa Barnett, and we are just having a fascinating pre-show conversation, and I'm very excited to have her on. I've interviewed her before about 3 years ago for another summit, and personally, my experience of her, I remember three speakers clearly from that summit because I've interviewed so many people and she was one of them. You know, when you meet people and they're just so bright and so vibrant and have so much wisdom to share, she was one of those. I'm so excited she's here with us. I'm going to share her bio and then we're going to dive right in as I pull out. Okay. Lisa Barnett is the founder of Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom. So she works with Akashic Records, where she has taught thousands of students worldwide to access personal soul wisdom from their Akashic record. She is also an internationally known best-selling author of Your Soul Has a Plan, Awaken to Your Life through Awaken to Your Life Purpose through the Akashic Records. The infinite wisdom of the Akashic Records, and From Questioning to Knowing, 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life. So she's written 3 books and she's working on a 4th. She has devoted over 25 years to sharing Akashic wisdom through constellations and healing sessions and workshops so clients can understand and align with their soul path to find greater fulfillment, happiness, abundance, and health. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be back with you. It is so much fun to dive into these deep conversations.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They're not fluffy. So let's go right in and let's talk about your book, Your Soul Has a Plan.
I would love to. Here's my
Your Soul Has a Plan.
book.
It's amazing. So can you talk about that? What does that mean when you speak into that, your soul has a plan?
So the Akashic Record Keepers, and let me just kind of give you my one sentence, right? Because each and every one of you have your very own personal Akashic library with the recording of all of your soul's journeys through all time. And you have your own personal librarians, which is really very powerful. And so I call them the record keepers. So when I refer to the record keepers or the Akashic Masters, they are the group of beings that have been keeping my records and the collective records, the records of the school that they asked me to start and the books that they asked me to write. And so it's important to realize that before you embody every lifetime, and most of us have 500 to 800 lifetimes here on Earth, before you embody each time, your soul writes a plan. So life is not random. It is not by chance, and none of us are actually victims. So even though that sounds pretty crazy, we wrote in some extreme challenges into our life plan. We write soul contracts to have partnerships, significant partners, children, of course, parents, best friends, business partners. So most of us have 30 to 50 soul contracts alone in that soul plan, as well as soul contracts that I would say have karma attached. And the way the record keepers explain that is that we come here to have multiple experiences, but part of it is about soul growth. So we can go float around in the multiverse and have a grand old time and really be in the unified field of source. But we come here to experience separation. We come here to experience these big challenges, and we come here to learn and grow as a soul so that we as humans can share the wisdom that we glean from the challenge, and in other dimensions share the wisdom that we also have gotten with other souls that may want to learn about it but not come to Earth. So we write this big plan. We say, "Ooh, let's bring this gift with us," right? I've been honing that talent for the last, 20 life. Let's bring that back now that it's very sharp and I can, access that gift and talent. So your soul purpose, interestingly, is much more about fulfilling the whole plan that your soul wrote than something that's simple like a job description. So a lot of us think our purpose is kind of one thing, but it is a myriad of things, many purposes, as well as soul contracts and karmic patterns and, learning and growing. So we're very complicated. We're very ancient souls. We really are, beautiful ancient souls who have lived here on Earth 500 or 800 times. We've lived in other places, planes, and dimensions in the multiverse.
Okay, there's so much there. So much there. And what I love about this is, for one, it lands for me, and two, it brings in a level of personal responsibility. Like you said, I'm not a victim, like it's nothing's by accident. But let me ask you this. Let's say someone, I know I've done this in my lifetimes where I've incarnated again and again into the same thing, like abusive parents, let's say, is an example. And you keep doing that over and over again, like, okay, I'm going to sign up for that again. Can you speak into that and why a person would continue choosing the same type of suffering, but in a different body? And what can they do to move through that?
Yes, that's honestly, so many of my clients come to me because they have been born into abusive families in different levels of extreme. And so of course, most of those clients are saying, how could that possibly be that I picked that? That's crazy, right? And so what the record keepers say is that you're not crazy, you're actually very powerful. And we often do it again and again because we actually come to help some of these other souls move through the pattern of being the abuser. Sometimes we write soul contracts with siblings to help and protect them, because we know how big and powerful we are, that we of course, we see everything so differently when we're not in a body. So imagine that you're this powerful ancient soul and you say, okay, you little souls who maybe haven't been to Earth as many times, or maybe you're some of the younger soul family members, I'll come in as the older sibling and I'll protect you. I'll take on the abuse and I'll keep you guys safe. So you can have the kind of experience, but not as directly, right? So we work through like a million different ways. We say, oh, I want to come in and I want to complete all the karmic patterns I've ever had around abuse. And I'm going to do it by being in this extreme situation. And I'm going to be so loving and so compassionate and so forgiving that I'm actually going to help that parent or that person to awaken, to really kind of change their ways, to realize what they're doing. And we're going to end this abusive pattern in our ancestral lineage. So many of us are here. I would say that probably 70% of the light workers who are on Earth right now have picked abusive families to end the ancestral pattern of abuse. So the buck stops here. I'm not passing that down to my children. I'm not going to let my siblings pass that down to their children because I'm going to keep them from it. I'm going to maybe become very understanding. Maybe I'll become a therapist and help other people to heal from abuse. And so we do it for so many different ways. It's not just a simple story. We may be in it to end it for the family, to save our siblings, to complete our own karmic patterns, right? To help our parents awaken or heal. And so we really are really powerful, ancient, infinite souls.
Yeah, I love all that. When my when my dad passed away, when my dad killed himself, and my mom had left when I was 3, so I was like alone at 5. That was my prayer, and I knew I had created it. I knew it, so I would pray to God. God, show me what I'm here to learn. That was my prayer as a little kid, and it brought so much comfort because I didn't. It helped me not feel like I something was being done to me. So it was so helpful. Um, and then on the heels of that question, I work with a lot of people, and I hear this often where they miss home. They feel like they don't belong here as a human being, and they miss home. And what I've seen with some people is back to connection. They feel disconnected from themselves. They feel just they don't feel like they belong in the family they're in. All of these things. Can you speak? And sometimes they're depressed and all the things. Can you speak into that?
Absolutely. And of course, lots and lots of layers in that question. Um, so one, the first thing the record keepers answered was every single one of us is a star seed. No one is from Earth, right? So when we start to realize that we're not really human, we're having that experience now. Many of us have had it for hundreds and hundreds, and let's just say way too many hundreds of lifetimes, but it's not really who we are, right? We are galactics in so many ways. And so most of us, especially as we awaken, so all of the light workers, all of you people who are listening right now, who are really light workers, because you all are, have a consciousness and an awareness. And I know for me, it was always a challenge. And so many of my students are like, I feel like somebody tossed me on Earth. How did I end up here? Or wrong family. How did that happen? But the truth is, when we can start to say, I chose it, good, bad, and, indifferent, and I'm an infinite soul having this human experience. And the more I can own that, the more I can actually be the sovereign of my body and energy field, the more I can literally own my own space and field, the easier it is to be aligned to your higher self, actually to your Akashic records, to your soul plan, to your purposes. And so it becomes really helpful to kind of step by step. To me, of course, I believe it's phenomenally helpful to learn to access your own Akashic records so that you can know who you are, who you've been, what you've done, the worlds you come from, where you are or have lived as a starseed. And most of us have lived many different places, planes, and dimensions as starseeds, not usually just one. Again, we're so much bigger than we think we are, but that's the huge gift of accessing your records, is that we can feel into that. We can notice it, see it, talk to our record keepers, and start to actually reclaim some of these gifts and talents that we've honed in other lifetimes. Like I said, when you're writing that plan, you're connecting, you're saying, oh, I'm going to marry someone from my soul family member. So this soul who, I've been with forever, who we have this beautiful support contract. I'm going to marry that person because that makes life a little bit easier, right? But in the meantime, I may also marry somebody before that who might have some addiction patterns or abusive patterns, and I'm actually coming in to learn something and to be of support and to be of help. So we have all of these pieces throughout our lives. It's not simple. And again, that's why I know that accessing your own records is so powerful, because that gives you a tool to use every single day or whenever you need it. It's, right there. And so, but we really do come to remember, to awaken, and to reconnect in so many different ways with our soul family members, with our own soul guidance. And so that connectivity is very powerful and very important, especially as we're moving forward, creating a new earth.
It's like this, what you're describing is a map, right? Having this, we all have our own map, and it's, and being able to access the map will support. So let's talk about, that's a great segue into my next question, because before we hit record, you were talking about the new earth and what we're creating, and that we are actively deprogramming what we've programmed, and Gaia is ascending. So can you talk about all that's a big, I know that's layered, but like the programming and the deprogramming, what we're actively doing.
Yeah, so the big picture, and you know, I know that that many people are a little bit more new to some of this esoteric work. Even some of you are new to, you know, what are the Akashic Records? I've heard the word, but not really sure. But again, so we talk about, we have this very infinite library of you. You each have that library. And in that library, we can even access some of our other lives. So of course, we can learn about, you know, the 500 lifetimes you've had here on Earth. But we can ask our librarians or our Akashic record keepers about other lives in other worlds and planets and dimensions. Like, where else have I lived? What else have I been? And so what I've learned over all of my years of working in the Akash is that I am a very, very freaking ancient, let's just say. I sometimes laugh, you know. Can we get any older? But we're so ancient, it's kind of mind-blowing as you start to experience that about yourself. But we, as very ancient angelic beings of light at one point who hung out, lived in the 12th dimension, right? We're in the 3rd dimension right now. So that's back when we were just living in the 12th dimension. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to have a different experience than this lovely angelic, you know, universe of love and connection and, you know, beauty. And so we came up with a great plan, and we said, let's experience something different. Let's experience separation. Let's experience all of these challenges. Let's experience emotions. Like in the 12th dimension, we don't really have emotions like we do here on Earth. And so over hundreds of thousands of years, and you know, you can't even put it into number, because in some ways there's like no time space continuum in the quantum field. So not really a number, but over a very long amount of time, if you were a human, we move the energy of the Earth, of what we call Earth, from a very high vibrational planet who is a sentient being. That means that she, Gaia, is conscious and really a feminine being, beautiful energy. And then we kind of help to tie her down, program her down, bring her down to this eventually 3rd dimension. And so we chose to create this experience that we considered our lives, right? We created this matrix that we're living in, where we believe that we're separate. We believe that we've been abandoned by God and often by other people in the world. We believe that we're finite people who maybe have a crappy life and then die. I mean, thank God it doesn't work that way, you know, but imagine feeling that way. And you may actually feel that way because religion has taught us all sorts of kind of concepts, like you're a sinner, you're born a sinner. You have to, you know, give your power to us and we will try and save you so that you get to go to heaven and live out the rest of your years. But honestly, it doesn't work that way because we're infinite souls. So when we leave here, we go, wow, whew, that was great, or that was iffy. I learned a lot. Maybe I forgot and didn't learn as much as I hoped that I had written in my plan. And it actually even ties in Beth, to your early question, is that we repeat these karmic patterns until we truly understand it and are out of kind of that matrix of that pattern, of that karmic pattern. So we may be stuck in an abuse pattern, believing that we're a victim, being depressed, like your father, so sadly committed suicide, couldn't see through to a greater truth, to know that he was part of always the divine source energy, that there was that, that blessing in there somewhere. If he could, clear his view, yes, open that door. And you were blessedly born very awake and could be, okay, I get this. And what I'm hearing is you chose to come in to help, to help. And sometimes we can do that and sometimes we can't. But the important piece also, when that comes to these kind of soul contracts that we write, say with a parent who is, in addiction or abuse or in a karmic pattern like that, we can only do our side of the contract, right? You cannot save them without them saving themselves. You can only do your side of the work. And I saw for people to realize, because I know often people feel like, and then he died and I failed. But that's not true, because you did not fail. You awoke, right? You were able to share and to teach and to bring the wisdom and that healing energy that you came to. You can bring that out to humanity so other people can awaken as you did. And so it's never really a fail when we do our own side of the contract, when we do our own work. And that's why in some ways it's so important for all of us to continue doing our own work. And again, through the Akashic Records, it becomes very, very simple, because we're in this quantum field of no time space, and we can go back and heal some of the emotional pain and trauma that we experienced as that 5-year-old or that 3-year-old or that 25-year-old who may still be feeling some of that residual pain and sadness, right? We're human. We come to have these experiences, and it's important that we honor those experiences also and free ourselves from them, kind of like we're freeing ourselves from a net that's held us locked down in that pattern. And so when we can cut that net off and free ourselves, it becomes easier to move ahead, move forward with our soul's plan, creating the life that our heart desire. And so, again, to me, learning to access your records, according to the Akashic Record Keepers, it is one of the greatest empowerment tools on the planet right now. And so understanding your soul's plan in a lot of its, intricacies, because it's not particularly simple if you say, oh, I've got 50 soul contracts out there. Multiple purposes, many gifts and talents, right? Then you kind of go, okay, well, that could be worth understanding. Yeah, right? And so
igniting too, right? The gifts, like if you do that, you can ignite them.
Yes. Right. So just this week, I had a couple of clients come to me who were like, a little bit older. They were thinking, I'm retiring, or I just retired. Is my soul contract with my partner complete? My partner doesn't seem interested at all in this spiritual journey I'm in, that I'm going, I'm going down this road, and they don't care. Is my contract complete? What does that mean? And so it's very powerful, because I can go in a consultation and an Akashic reading with a client and ask in their records for them. Is that contract complete? Is there a lesson to learn? Is this person from their soul family? Is there something else that they're to do with this, with this person? And so very, very helpful for many of us to realize that our contracts, sometimes we, even with our significant partners, again, it's a two-sided contract. You may have written a contract to have this beautiful spiritual life and help to transform the world, and they forget and you don't. So that kind of makes that contract null and void. It becomes late because they're choosing a different path and you get to choose your path. So again, having this kind of access one way or another, of course, like I say, I do readings and I teach people because I want everyone to have this deeper wisdom. And as they go forward, I don't want people to feel guilty that they got divorced after 35 years or stay married because they feel guilty or any of those kinds of things. It's important, especially at this time, right? We are at the precipice to this huge shift into the fortune, into the fifth dimension, and on, right? Again, into the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, back home. To me, that would be home, is the 12th dimension, whatever embodiment you may have been. And again, that'll probably take us another 500,000 years or something. But we're infinite souls, so who cares?
Okay. I mean, I wish we had more time because I love this so much just because of all the things we said. There's responsibility and the sides of the contract, and there is a plan. It's not just by accident, and we're not here to just live and then die and then that's it, go to the in the ground. So my last question is, how you mentioned readings, you mentioned the books. Okay, so can you talk about how people can work with you? Because I know I can feel people are listening to this going, I need that. I need to understand this. I need to understand my contract. So how do they work with you privately or in classes? And then, yeah, how they can get a hold of
Absolutely. Yeah, so you can find information about all of my readings and my classes on my website at AkashicKnowing.com. And definitely grab my free gift, and that'll get you into the email list, so you'll see where I'm speaking, where I'm teaching, all of that kind of information. And I actually have a live class coming up, which is super fun. After all these years of kind of being locked down, I'll be teaching my Akashic self-mastery in Sedona in April, the 25th through the 27th. So I would love to see some of you there. And I teach online. Akashic Course 1 is the beginning place. My workshop in Sedona in 3 days is actually course 1 and course 2. So it's all of the Akashic self-mastery. So I have a new class I'll be teaching online again in June, and doing readings. You can look for that at AkashicKnowing.com/consultations, and you will find how to schedule a reading and a session with me. And of course, all of my books are on Amazon, so hopefully you'll dive in. This actually has a very good workbook component to it. So with reflections, so that you can kind of read what we talk about in, say, relationships equaling soul contracts, and you can journal about, what about your relationships? What was your family like? Did you write that contract? Can you own that fact? And then there are 3 Akashic healing prayers that I've channeled from the record keepers in that chapter to help to clear some of the old energy so you can move forward. So the book has information and also a healing component. So it has a little bit of a workbook feel to support you in going forward.
I'm getting that book. I actually might even go to Sedona. So if you're thinking about it, maybe I'll see you there. And I had, not with Lisa, but I had an Akashic record reading, a few of them. If you haven't received one, definitely reach out to her. They're so mind-blowing and so helpful. When knowing my soul family is something that helped anchor me in to this life in a very deep way.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely. We just the witnessing, sometimes you hear, maybe what, planet you're from, or what system, or kind of that soul family, your bigger purposes that we come in, kind of the spiritual archetypes, about our contracts, and often people come to me because they feel like they're at a crossroads. Should I keep working in corporate, or should I really, start that spiritual business that I've been wanting to start for 10 years? Is it the time now? Or, what's that energetic timing? So all of there's just so much information. And when we realize that we planned it, then we can really own it. And a lot of things, it's so much easier to kind of let them go and align to the higher energy.
So powerful. You are amazing. You're like a sparkly person, and with all of this wisdom, it's so fun. So thank you so much for being with us. And you can find Lisa. Her website will be on the speaker page, as also the access to her free gift will get you on her email list so that you can continue receiving updates on what she's up to. And then you can go to Amazon and find her books. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Beth. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. You've listened to another, I'm going to call it episode, even though we're not a TV show, episode of Codes of Connection, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.